Hi everybody, welcome to another Push the Point Deck Tech. My name's Simon, and today I'm joined by none other than Flesh and Blood, article writing, Road to Nationals winning, superhero podcaster, Hamish. Thanks very much for joining us, Hamish.
Hey guys! Wow, it's an honour.
Fancy seeing you here.
Well, fancy seeing you here.
So today, guys, we thought we would run through, if you haven't heard already, Hamish won a Road to Nationals event in the UK this week on
Saturday.
Viserai.
Yeah. I was also it was on Saturday with Viserai. Kingdom. Did you say Kingdom Gaming?
I didn't.
No, is that Kingdom Gaming in Northampton? There you go. Local hometown.
I thought I'd let you tell a little story as a way of introduction on how you got on the day.
Oh, well, thank you, Simon. It was a really cool day. It was very hard fought. Some fantastic players. Some tough games. It was not an easy, clean streak. I had some losses on the way to the top 8. Would you prefer if I just went through summarize the day just a little bit, and then we can just crack on with the actual meat of the deck?
Yeah, I mean, either you can give us your matchups. I was just going to ask you really what you thought of the meta on the day. Obviously, having moved away from a Starvo chain meta, like what did you think? This was your first CC event back since the ban and restricted announcement. How was it?
It was kind of a bit of an open field, in my opinion. I didn't really know who was going to come out like the ball rolling, basically. I was hearing chatter that the progressive, I don't know why I keep saying progressive, proactive, the proactive aggro hero was starting to clearly be Briar. When we were testing out Fi, testing out Katsu, and it was kind of clear that Briar is the physical attack sort of hero, was clearly just going to be pushing ahead because of the Channel Mount Heroics, Bramble Sparks. It's a bit of a monster deck, to be honest. So we knew that, and then it was kind of difficult to sort of summarize what the control would be. Which would it be old him as per usual, but then everyone's just sort of writing off old him because Prism is still Prism was also this boogie person, boogie woman that was going to apparently dominate the field. And then as we were sort of testing, Dromai was actually starting to make some serious legs as well. I really didn't know which way to try and take this, so I just went down the route of Old Faithful, basically, which is, I know this deck inside out. I didn't really give it much consideration initially because of Skeletor leaving the field. I did my previous deck tech. I demonstrated what I would have brought if I actually brought it along. But then after the bans, I was just convinced Chain was just the one that was going to be the hero to sort of pilot through as a Rune Blade in the ProQuest Season 2. So I just took this along, I built this up, and just started testing into it, and just found, multiple reps works, and this works just fine. It has some insane spike damage, and that was my sort of thought process to take it to a very open Road to Nationals. Who bloody knows? Week 1, and
Hamish, like not to take it back too far, but obviously you've prepared with decks before and then changed your mind at the last minute.
Yeah.
I, for one, I'm so glad that you stuck with your true love in Flesh and Blood.
He's definitely a near and dear, as some people may know. That if there is going to be one hero I can at least give a good shot at to an event, it's going to be Viserai. So, just to sort of summarize the day, my Swiss rounds was 3-2. I played into a Briar round 1, which was a non-Caution deck. So if people don't know, this is a Briar deck running around that has Caution in it. Not to go into too much, but just there's some content out there for it. Just check it out. But it wasn't that. It was a standard heroic, Channel Mount heroic, Ravenous Rabble deck. Really, really aggressive. So I beat that. And then round 2 was a Katsu deck. I'm feeling very comfortable against Katsu in general. I don't think that he got too much in this set. Weirdly, it was probably, but yeah, I won that. And then I take on an old him aggro deck, which
okay.
I know, completely messed that one up. So I sideboarded that all wrong. I lost that. Probably the worst time I ever played Viserai ever.
Well, I know you came to us like afterwards saying you just felt completely dejected, like you knew you'd played badly, because you'd completely misread the matchup.
Oh yeah, and I played badly. You can get those games, and I think I just, for anyone that thinks, even when you get the most reps into someone, I just played awfully. So, that went to Francesco, absolutely slammed it. Then I play into Ice Lexi, real tight, close match, but I managed to get that. And then I play again, another Briar, again, another non-Caution one, pretty safe, Channel Mountain Heroic. And I lost that one. So I finished Swiss 3-2. It's like, oh, okay. But the way, but I won my first 2 and my 4th round. So, you're pretty locked in. I was 5th coming out of round 4.
First loss and latest last loss. So you're doing pretty well on tiebreakers anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. So, so I finished the whole thing in 7th. So making it into the top 8. Top 8 was a mirror match into Viserai, which sweet. That one I stole. Viserai mirror matches are just not fun. Like mirror matches in general are generally just it's very rare to find one that is pretty fun, especially when they're proactive heroes that are just trying to dominate tempo. But I stole that one by not dying at the last minute. You go from winning the match to like, I've got tempo, then the other person gets tempo, and then they lose the tempo, and then you play a Snarter, pitch of blue, find a Gloom, and they're on 1 health, man. You're on 1 health, and a Gloom saves the day. My 4th round would have been against Dromai, but the opponent chose to concede because he needed to get home. Didn't really.
That was your semi-final. Sorry.
Yeah, that was my semi-final. Yeah. So it was a bit of a concede, but I personally wasn't too scared to take on Dromai.
Yeah.
But it was against a chap called Jamie Faulkner. We've been testing. It's actually been a bit back and forth. He has actually won a couple more games out of me as Dromai. But not a terrible matchup in my opinion. Just got to play it right, do it well. I think I could take it. But regardless, he had to shoot, so he had to concede. On the day.
Conceded.
Yeah, that's that. And then I'm back into the final with the Oldham that beat me in Swiss. So, And then, there's an awesome video of that on Baz the Bard with me against Francesco. Amazing player, literally one of the monsters of the UK scene. He is literally.
He's been taking tournaments by storm lately, hasn't he?
Oh, he's an absolute machine. I can't fault. He is probably one of the best players in the UK. There's a number, and he's definitely one of them. And just smashed out of the park. I made the right call. I decided not to go fatigue. I've decided, I'm going to go face. I believe you will too, and paid off. So if you wanted to see that video, Baz the Bard, go check that out. But that was basically my day. It was a pretty like I said, it was really difficult. This was not a clean game. But
just looking at the standings afterwards and seeing some of the names that obviously didn't make the top 8. There was some big names in that event that didn't get there. So the competition level was really high.
Yeah, it was high.
The first weekend of Road to Nationals.
Yeah, absolutely. We had
really impressive.
We had UK nationalist Matt Folks and UK runner-up George Rogers as well. And Road to Nationals week 1 is an open field. You got to just sort of make a call. Your testing does do a lot of work.
You've tested a lot, and I can attest that every time I go onto Discord, you're testing, usually with Jamie, to be fair,
Yeah.
You've been playing games whenever you can,
Mm.
and obviously the reps are paying off, man. And congratulations taking the first road to nationals this season. But like you say, it's a bit of an open book, and you can
Yeah.
only really go, even with lots of testing, you're only testing against people in your group, so you might not have the breadth of things that you don't think of, you know.
I agree. I think that the meta's starting to like its first snapshot is just starting to appear. Where I believe that one of the the two heroes to come out of the gate is Dromai and Viserai.
Yeah.
I think Briar is also within that mix. I also believe Prism is potentially within that mix. I think Prism just needs to find itself within the Dromai matchup potentially. Other than that, I think I still think there's enough room for some other heroes to come out of nowhere. But in terms of the first snapshot, I believe that's the ones. But shall we? Yeah, that's my sort of summary of week 1.
Nice.
It'd be cool to see where this goes. Shall we slam into the Viserai deck?
Do it. I mean, I would say, like, I've seen a couple of other Viserai decks floating around. I know another content creator group have shown
Come on,
off
we
a
can
bit of
name
a
names,
Viserai
man.
deck.
We can name names.
So I know, obviously, Arsenal Pass Hayden Dale
Yes.
put out a deck at the weekend, which was a slightly different approach to your Viserai deck.
It's the most different Viserai deck I've ever seen.
I was gonna say,
I highly recommend people when that comes out. If it probably is out, go check it out. Right, you probably have, but
have a look.
go and have a look. Yeah, not very. The guys are really good. He's a Viserai like superstar,
old school aficionado. Yeah,
gotcha.
like yourself.
Well, no, I mean back in the day when I started, the very first content that came out was from Hayden with Session Blood, and I listened to that. And so this guy knows his Viserai. But if you want to hear what I've got to say, here's my list. So Viserai, here we go. If you've never seen it before, I'll give you an extremely quick rundown. Rosetta Thorn is just extremely good, right? I'm not going to go into it way too much, but out of all the weapons you can pick, Rosetta Thorns is the one. If you know, it's
2 and 2.
2 and 2, too good. Spellbound Creepers, it's just a bit. If you want to know a little bit more about Spellbound Creepers, I've done 2 other videos as to why this is absolutely insane. Making instances have go again. Making non-attack action cards have an instant. The breadth of what you can offer is just insane. Absolutely insane.
Especially in a deck that runs so many non-attack actions.
With a go again, yeah, absolutely. It's just too good. So so this side here is my main board, just to be clear, and this side over here, which if you've got FabDB, that's the sideboard effectively. What I'm going to do is just I've explained those 2 pieces of equipment. Before I go more into the main board, I'll explain all of my equipment side of things. So for the first time ever, really, I was kind of felt like I had an actual, like, it's like a blitz deck. I had a lot of slots dedicated to equipment pieces, because I generally felt that when you're running into the RTNs and you don't really know how things are going to go, you need to, like, equipment can really just sort of make and break how your a deck this kind of flexible can go. And
so you went everything.
I kind of did. I going forward, I will say that there will be some things I will be sort of tuning and taking out, but I kind of felt like I had something for everything. But yeah, we'll roll through it. Quite simply, Vex and Quillhand, Null Rune Robe, and Crown of Dichotomy are my Null Runes against Wizard. The Final Spring Tunic is the first thing I am going to cut out of the deck going forward. It was it's actually an incredibly good card if you're going into Icelander, but I'm also just not sure whether having that one resource floating to sort of counteract her new crown, I forgot what it's called, the Coronet Peak.
Coronet Peak.
Yeah, making you lose a card.
But
they're
do the games last long enough? I mean, obviously not Icelander, but generally, do games last long enough with this deck to get full value out of?
No, not really.
No. Okay.
You never really want to run Tunic in anything apart
Fine.
from like I had this sort of idea that maybe I need it if I'm playing up against like Icelander, because
Yeah.
if she's coming in doing frostbite stuff, I can at least react
Yeah.
with the Tunic to get the resources. So I can always try and get over
Yeah.
a nice bit. You know, I can actually just add it up and pick and choose when I want to use it. Coronet Peak is a lot more less
Yeah.
appealing when it's on one, because they're just going to go, oh, I'm going to pitch 3, and I'm just going to go, oh, there's a Tunic, I don't care. You know, you're not going to make me lose a card out of hand if I've got a Tunic. That was it, because when I first started up, Icelander was becoming a bit of a problem. So this was
she won some events across the nations last weekend. I think she won one in Croatia.
Oh, really? That's good. So this is why I put it in. I think this is a card that if you're going to go into Icelander, maybe give this a go. I put in Null Rune Robe as well because I think I had like one slot left, and I'm like
Paranoid of Kano.
A little bit, but I still think it's not even that amazing of a matchup. I could probably just swap out equipment for actually better like the Oasis Respite. Yeah. But anyway, so they're my 3 chess pieces. The Aether Ironweave will inevitably, if I was going forward, would be my main chess piece.
Yeah.
It is the next best. Well, we don't have Skeletor. This is literally the next best thing.
Yeah.
It's a Battle Worn. It's actually pretty good having a Battle Worn block 1. Use it. Not too early, but you know, you don't be afraid to use it. Like in early game to really start of mid game. Approach where if you're seeing
it frees it up and allows you to use the effect on the card as well.
Yeah, exactly. You feel more wanting to use it. If you use it and you still got 1, it's kind of like you've just lost a health. But so just get that used when you can, when you see something quite threatening. And the ability to just get 2 more resources is just very good. That mainly can be used for, you know, pushing turns for Rattle Bones. If you need to extend adding up your like how your line is going, and you think, you know what, if I just need that 2 more, and this is going to be a huge turn, it's Aether Ironweave time. The helmets, I've run with both Skullcap and Crown of Providence. Now, there is going to be a big long discussion as to, you know, which one's better. Everyone's going to go Crown of Providence is way better, right? And if you're being really proactive, it is very good. And at the same time, I've always thought that this is a better card to have if you're really going face.
Does that extra 1 block from the Skullcap come in useful against sort of the on-hit decks like Lexi?
I believe so. I ran Arcanite Skullcap more when I'm facing up against Katsu or Fi, someone that's going to get a mass trigger, and they're coming in with these silly 1 attacks, and you're just like, I don't want to throw a card into this, but I need to make this mass trigger stop.
Yeah.
There you go. I think it's kind of fine for most of that. Again, I had some slots, and I just wanted to really make sure I have a lot of flexibility of what I want to do, rather than get caught into some awkward spots. But Crown of Providence is crazy good. Like, I think it's a very, very, very good card. In Ice Lexi, I probably would potentially run this, because there's a lot of back and forth with your health. There's times when you actually can really hit Lexi really hard.
Yeah.
And they quite literally take it and get below health. Yeah. And then they're just going to go, well, that's fine, because I'm just going to come in way harder. And then Skullcap is actually not active, and it's really quite frustrating most of the time. It is this real big back and forth between Lexi. She really does use her health as a resource. So Crown of it's a tricky one, but if you're up against Lexi, Crown of Providence predominantly most of the time. But if you're not the aggressor, probably just, and you know you're probably going to be lower health than them, take the Skullcap.
Just take it.
Yeah. Grasp. Well, Grasp
speaks for itself.
Yeah, it speaks for itself. Grasp is it's just awesome. The only time I put it out, so if you're wondering why, if I'm always using the Aether Ironweave or the Grasp of the Out-Knight, the way I do my sideboard is if I am going to swap it out, even if 99% of the time I'm going to use it, but that 1% time I don't, that 1% means it goes in the sideboard, because it just helps me go, this is never always in. But I'll put it right near the front because I know I'm going to get this thing straight back out soon.
You have the core deck, and then you just have, even if it comes out for one matchup, you have it in the side.
Yeah, pretty much. This side here is that never leaves the deck ever, and this side is it may leave the deck. So, but most of the time, yeah, Grasp of the Art Knight. There is actually one or two times if I'm being super greedy, and I just go, you know what, I don't care. I think I'm just going to absolutely outrace you. I probably may put the Vexen Quill hand in because it's, just to get those 2 extra resources because you're such a greedy little boy.
Yeah. Or even with a Mordred, it comes out, it's 3. So
it pays. It pays for your Rune Flash, literally. Go, I've got 1. Oh, Rune Flash is free. So, there you go. But to be safe, play Grasp.
Take us through your core deck blues to start off with. How many blues have you got?
Core deck blues. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I have 21, I believe. I always think I've got 21, then I probably add up and I've got 22. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Oh, I've got 22. Okay, I've got 22 blues. 22. So my blues, just how do I summarize this? So I think the most important blues you can get in this deck are the attack action blues. The reason you want to have the attack action blues is because Sonata is it's a very real card. You tend to always fire that off with just playing it as it is, and most of the time you try and dig out resources, right?
Yeah.
You need, if you know you can
fill that turn. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want to put in the shard or lace up some pretty good non-attack action blues in there that could be, you'll see that blue show up and be like,
I wish it was an attack.
Yeah, I wish it was an attack, exactly. So the Spellblade Assaults, the Shred of the Skull form, the Spellblade Strikes, Vexing Malice, and the 1 Dreb Triptych are basically there to, get that blue. And for the non-attack actions, the Meridian Skies, the Become the Art Knight, and the Lead the Charge, they're basically they're very, very, very important non-attack action cards that are, to be honest, cannot be replaced in the value that they bring. So no matter what, they've got to be in the deck. So I want to be able to draw cards that are going to extend my turn further. So
you need the go again or the extra action point to give you your Rosetta, right? Your chip damage.
Yeah, exactly. So Lead the Charge and Moving Skies in blue. I think I remember the number that you needed to get was it's about 14, 15. I don't have that much, mind you. I probably tone that down a bit less, but I always find that the most awkward turns are the ones where if you just don't have a Skies or a Lead or anything, you kind of just have this moment of going, okay, I can make this work, but it's not going to be as annoying. So being able to have those options are available. Lead the Charge is really, really, blue. It is really awkward, actually, quite a lot of the time, because I don't my main attack board is meet and greets and swarming gloom veils. They can get a little bit clunky, but I think those are my lowest cost ones. The Strikes and the Vexing Malices are also have these moments, but I don't have that many. But it does have its moments where you go, oh, it's not that great. But you could probably just Arsenal it or just pitch it. There's loads of stuff. And as you'll see going forward in my sideboard, there's plenty of non-Runeblade related stuff that can work with Lead the Charge.
Yeah.
Also, spicy tip: Lead the Charge. Don't be afraid to Lead the Charge blue into a Rune Flash, and then you've got 2 action points. You could play a Read the Runes with your spare 1. Who knows?
There you go.
The options are open. I sort of just played it just because I thought, just had this moment of going, I want to use Rosetta. Is Lead the Charge, Read the Flash just worth it? And then I played it out and I went, I got 2 actions. Oh, I got 2 action points.
Really well.
I've got 2 action points now. That's actually really good. So yeah, it can sort of double up on that.
Nice.
for you. So there's my blues. The one Dread Triptych is because it's a really, really powerful card. Costs 3 though. Costs 3 is really...
It's a big card though.
Yeah. I think I'll never forget the time I was facing up against Rob Catton in ProQuest Season 1, and I put 3 Dread Triptychs in my deck, and I literally looked at that and I thought I could have won this because I had I think it was a Skies, Dread Triptych, a blue, and a Revel. So
and you just needed a card that didn't cost 3.
If it just didn't cost 3, I could have just did the line and played Revel and probably just sunk it. But I had to use the Revel to just try. So ever since then, I was like, no, I'm never putting 3 in again. I'll have the 1. And to be honest with you, it's actually fine. It is brilliant. It's not a card you need it all the time. It's a really powerful card, but it'll show up, and
sometimes it just does the work.
Yeah, sometimes it's just that one off. You only ever play one anyway. And when the day it shows up, use it. But I never do. It just ends up being the pitch. It ends up being the block.
Sonata.
Yeah. Absolutely. So
I see you've got all of your. So that's the blues, the engine of the deck. I see you've got the yellows in all of the yellows in the sideboard.
Yeah. But we'll move over to all the yellows are actually non-attack actions. But we'll get over to the sideboard bit later. The reds, the actual power. The power. So of course your Mordred Tides. Of course your Reveling Runebloods. Of course, your Rattlebones. This is your new
3 Rattlebones as well.
Yeah. This is your new get out of jail free card, ladies and gentlemen. It turns out Rattlebones in Gloomvale really doing a lot of work. Yeah, it just makes turns, and it actually with Rattlebones existing, kind of makes you feel okay blocking with Swarming Gloomvale. Like it really,
because you can just go and find it.
I'd rather see that Swarming Gloomvale most of the time in the bin. I'm like, this is great. This card is where it needs to be, straight in that bin. I try and use it. Obviously,
I think that's a lesson most of us picked up from the latest Blitz season, though, right? Where Viserai went absolutely mental. A Rattlebones is a complete get out of jail free card.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Rattlebones early is awful, but in the mid game, it does actually become such a powerful card. So they're really your free. Oh, and Sonata. Sonata's obviously got a different sort of space and place now.
Different vibe.
Yeah, I find it like a bit of a Tome of the Art Night sort of thing, where you can just start your turn up and go, you know what? I know what my line is. Okay. I don't need to use creepers to extend my turn even further. I'm just going to kick this thing off with. Let's have a look. Let's see. I could probably just make this turn even way better.
Yeah.
And I love it when if you pull a Swarming Gloomvale, you know your turn is going to be nuts. If you pull a Meet and Greet, you just know that the person's going to start freaking out and going, "Oh, I've got to block that arcane," and you go, "Cool."
Good luck with that.
That's fine with me. It just never. It just tricks people out. Like the Meet and Greet and Sonata are such a beautiful combo, especially when you got a Meet and Greet in hand and they don't know you got it in hand. You just play it and they go, "Oh, sorry, I'll take the 1." And you're like, "Oh, dude, you just made life hell for you, and you don't know it yet." So yeah, I think this card is sick. The uses and the plays you can get out of it, the lines you can potentially make from it. It's just a crazy good card. Believe that's all of the non-attacks. The Read the Runes, I love putting 3 in. It's a card that can seriously give you some options when you don't have a great turn ahead of you. If you just pull 3 attack action cards and one of them's a Read the Runes, you're like, okay, I guess it's blocking up, and I'm just going to play this out to make 3. And you're basically pumping 3 damage for next turn. It's really good. Plus, as well with Swarming Gloomvale, I love it when I play Swarming Gloomvale for nothing. Just a bare swarm, and they're like, and everyone sort of goes, "What's going on, mate?" Read the Runes is literally an attack reaction at this point. He creepers that in. Now we've got full mode, and and then you play Flash. It's crazy, but you got to on its own. it's kind of a bit like, what? But you've got to make it work. So read the runes. In terms of the attacks, meet and greet, very strong. Rune flash, very strong. Now, last video, I said that you should be running strikes. There is probably an argument to this, but I decided to run with Spellblade Assault because of the lead the charge blue. I was kind of worried.
That's fair.
I was kind of worried about how many of my attacks were starting to become a little bit too cheap to use lead the charge for. So I went back to the Spellblade Assault. Plus, as well, Spellblade Assault does hit harder for one more resource.
Yeah.
It's very tricky. The only reason I'd say dial it back a bit, because maybe if Icelander starts to become a real thing, then you probably need to start looking at going, maybe I should run the Spellblade Strikes, and having a little play around with the lead the charges. You might be able to get away with it, but if resources are going to be a little bit tight because of the frostbites you're going to receive, start looking at getting strikes. But in this instance, I went with Spellblade Assault.
Nice.
And Swimming Gleam Veil because it's broken. So that's my main card. Never take out, and Vex and Malice, 3 of them, baby. Don't ever deny. Vex and Malice wins you the game. I'm telling you, that is my quote.
Too arcane. Yeah, that too arcane.
No word of a lie. Vex and Malice wins you the game. Just saying, guys. You'll be pitching it, and you'll be sitting there going, "I can't wait to see this end game."
So just looking at your core deck, Hamish, I don't think there are any particular surprises for me. Maybe lead the charge blue. Maybe that's but then again, you've said you've mitigated that by putting the Spellblade Assault in, and you've got your Rattlebones, and you've got your Rune Flash. So you have got a pretty good number of expensive cards in there to fuel that.
Yeah, I think so.
But otherwise, I think that's a really solid Runeblade deck that does the work that you want it to do. Right, you're just out there. You can defend when you need to defend. You've got a lot of 3 blocks. You can attack when you need to attack and make a lot of rune chance.
Absolutely. I think these core cards are the reasons you win the game, right? And then everything else you're going to put in after that is going to help bolster the rest of the what your matchups really are. But these core cards are the reason why you're going to actually succeed and take these games out, because all of these cards are pretty nuts. So, should we move over to the sideboard attack action cards? So, I've got quite a few. There's so just to be kind of clear as well, how I plan this out. I have a 49 card main board deck, right?
Okay.
So whenever I'm making my deck up, I need to slot in 11 cards. Okay. So I have I've got more attack action cards than I actually can. I can't obviously slot them all in.
Yeah.
So I start to cherry pick the attack action cards that I believe are going to be the ones that are going to help me get through into this matchup. Which is very important. Which is very important. Which is why I lost one of my games into Oldham, because I decided to I started putting in all the wrong cards to take the wrong approach. But at the same time, it's kind of great playing that in the Swiss when you've got a deck like this, because you just know, okay, this was the wrong approach. I don't want to.
You learn from your mistakes immediately.
Yeah,
right?
and you feel like you can just sort of you can jiggle the cards around to make it suit your play. So 3
My cards don't jiggle.
Yeah, I know. Hey, so the Runic Reclamations, 3 of them. Runic Reclamations are predominantly there for anyone that's going to be targeting some auras. 3 is Prism. Again, this number could adjust down to 2 if Prism is starting to not look so favourable. But Prism's never going to be out. You probably just dial that back to 2 and increase maybe an Amplify by 1 or a Shrill by 1. But I mean, in the open season, I thought there's going to be a lot of Prisms.
Yeah,
I'm just going to go and play this. It doesn't matter if I don't use them.
It does something against Briar as well, right?
Yes, it targets Briar's channel mount.
You can get rid of channel, you can get rid of the embodiments, you can get rid of anything else.
Absolutely. There's plenty of auras that are hanging around. They don't care about the the Earth one. So just don't get too hung up by looking at this and going, "Oh, but I could take it." And it's like, yes, they could, but they don't care. They're too aggressive to care about the Earth. They will care about the lightning because that is actually quite a powerful tool, and they definitely will care about the Channel Mount Heroic. I would say if you're going to run into a Briar, consider putting one in. I wouldn't consider putting 3 in. Probably 2 is even too much. But if you've got a little bit of room, put 1 in. Because
I was going to say I'd probably have gone with 2, but that's because I know how much Briar value the Channel Mount Heroic. So.
That's true. That's true. It's quite an expensive card, but at the same time, you don't need to combo chain it out. You can just probably have that into. If you know they've got a Channel Mount out, block that out, get that into Arsenal, or just try and find a way you can just play a blue, play 7, and they're going to go, oh, God. Do you know what I mean? And they're going to start stripping their hand to make that.
What have I done?
Exactly. They're just going to hate seeing it. So it's just a good, treat it like a CNC. When you play it, they're like, oh, God.
When you play it's that awkward breakpoint of 7, so they can't even easily block it unless they've got embodiment or equipment or whatever. So I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely. Amplify the Art Knight is a very solid 6, a popper for strength 6. It blocks for 3. It's extremely good. The cost of 3 really doesn't ever really become a cost of 3. It's actually a very,
always
very,
got your ring chance.
Yeah, it's a very powerful card actually. It falls into the bracket of Shrill. Shrill's insane, by the way, but Amplify. There's some moments when you actually can go. You know what? I think I've got like 2 rune chants floating around. I'm going to play Ruvian Skies, pitch rattle, pitch for rattle. Find the Amplify the Art Knight. It's going to cost nothing.
Yeah.
6,
and it's going to come in for 6.
Yeah, 6 is crazy. It's crazy. And 3, every time you think that you're reducing the cost down by this, and you're coming in for 6, you actually got 3 more behind it. So it's actually 9. Yeah. The numbers are huge with this card. It looks very unassuming, but once you start using it, it falls into the lines of the same cost values of this stuff. The power is 6. It's just very strong.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Shriller Skullform. Most of the time, I port this into my deck whenever I really can. I tend to not to if I'm going to be playing a little bit slower. So if I'm playing into something like Oldham and stuff, where I'm just not someone that's going to stop me getting really, going really strong. I tend to not put these in. I don't know if that is the correct thing, like properly. Most of the time, I've actually found that I end up just I want to put it in. So I do.
2 for 7 is pretty strong, right?
Yeah, I want a 3rd copy. I really want a 3rd copy. If Prism is not looking so spicy, I'm going to take 1 Runic Reclamation out, and I'm going to put in a 3rd Shrill. It's just so good. It's just so strong. 2 for 7 is unarguably annoying.
And it's almost guaranteed in Viserai, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Second you play a Skies down, it's coming in for 7. CNC. I went down to I think I had 2 copies. I'm trying to remember from my old one, but I think I always ran with 2. I've now up to 3. I think this card, despite the fact that yes, someone the crown does exist and all this sort of stuff now, but at the end of the day, it's Lexi, man. Lexi is a problem for Viserai, and
big threat of Arsenal, and it's a popper.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you might not always want to run 3, but it's an annoying card. At the end of the day, it's an annoying card, and they will use the crown once. They tend to use it earlier on, and then the second they've used that crown, Command and Conquer's back into the annoying territory again. So it's a really good card.
It's still a good card.
Yeah. If you're in the boat of not being able to grab a copy because these are quite hard to find copies, you could start putting in 1 more Amplify and 1 more Shriller Skullform, and you could probably put in another copy of this new card, Erase Face, if you want to.
I was going to say, I wondered if you've been playing that, because lots of people have been talking about it. Lots of people have been scampering around trying to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts after using it in the real world?
It's okay. That's about it. I made up a list of I kind of wrote down a list of things for myself because I was too busy thinking, oh, it might be good for this. But then I'm not really 100% sure. But I wrote down a list for myself of what I think Erase Face deals with. And the irony is it deals with Viserai like so well. If this is going to be a thing for the people who don't want to play up against Viserai, if Viserai is a new hot thing, I think Erase Face is a very much newer hot thing. If Viserai is on top of the table, Erase Face is going to be a sought after card.
Yeah.
I am not going to lie, this is awful.
As a Viserai.
This is Command and Conquer levels of absolute scariness.
Madness, yeah.
If I was Lexi and someone played Command and Conquer, you're like, oh god.
It just stops all of your rune chant generation.
It's not.
It stops the Mothrian Skies. It stops.
Become the Art Knight.
The Art Knight.
yeah. You can't. So Become the Art Knight doesn't work. Rattlebones doesn't work. Mordred Tide doesn't even work properly anymore. Viserai doesn't work. Christ, the sky, like you said, the skies don't work. Sure, Skullform just won't get that rune chant anymore. It's as you can probably tell, these are some of the most powerful cards in the game. Just won't work anymore. It's awful. So I took these in because if I see Viserai, well, I want to wreck their day. Yeah, I want to wreck their day. And I have seen some Briars. I have seen some Briars come in with Channel Mountain Heroic Erase Face, and it's just sickening. It's just a sickening card. So I put the 2 copies in. I did initially have 2 Ninth Blades, and then I just went,
okay.
I just on the day, I think I went, you know what? I just don't see this being a major thing. I believe there will be some elemental heroes kicking about, and I think my initial thoughts was, I don't see many Viserais, but Erase Face could be just annoying enough for Lexi, for example, who can't now flip cards and get anything from it. They can't use their annoying ice fusing, garbage.
And now Viserai has obviously won an event in the UK. We might see a lot more of those next weekend, so it's going to be even more useful.
Absolutely, it's and also Hayden Dale's won it as well. So Viserai is pretty spicy. So to counter Viserai, well, not counter, but to make Viserai's life a little bit of hell, put some Erase Faces in. So, and as a Viserai player, put some Erase Faces in because you might see a Viserai.
The mirror is going to be horrible.
It is going to be horrible. So these are my attack action cards. So between that, looking at what sort of opponents, what I find value is what I'm going to use. If the safe bet, if you're never really 100% sure, put the Shrills in, look at the Amplify the Art Knights, and then kind of go from there. But I always put in the 2 Shrills and go from that. The number of cards you need to make with attack action cards is 6. And it is 6. It's
6 of the 11.
6 of the 11, right?
Okay.
That's the baseline. And then when it comes to the non-attack action cards, which is these 9 cards here, Meridian Skies, Lead the Charge, and Read the Runes, that number should go to around about 5. Throughout the day, though, I will be straight up honest. I didn't 30-30 it. I went 8 and 3, or was it 7 and 3? Yeah, I went 7 and 3. So I took in 7 attack action cards, and then went down to it's not 7 and 3, 7 and 4, 7 and 4.
Yeah.
So then I went to 4 non-attack action cards. I don't know whether that was at the time probably a naive mistake because I want to try and at least grab some more Lead the Chargers and Meridian Skies, but it actually was. It turned out okay.
I sort of feel like bricking with attack actions is probably better than bricking with non-attack actions, though, right? If you go too high on the non-attack actions, you risk.
They're not good either way. I'll be straight up. It's not really that great either way. But at least with attack action cards, you can present something, right?
Damage. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I always put in the yellow Meridian Skies in pretty much all my matchups. I had these yellow Read the Runes.
Yeah.
I believe going forward now, I'm going to cut these out of the deck. And if anyone's going to ask me, what do you think? In this moment in time, I haven't sort of formulated an amazing plan of what I'm going to probably change this up to.
You're still coming down from a high, right? I mean, it's...
I on my initial thoughts, I might change this up to a Runeblood Incantation. I think that card is fine. It's actually been really annoying when I've been seeing it against me.
Yeah.
Being able to generate a rune chant at the start of your turn is extremely good, and to just get it's a 1-cost go again. I think you should probably change these read the runes up to the incantations.
Oh, fair enough.
The reason I went for the read the runes is because I went down the plan of, I'm going to see Oldham, always going to fatigue me out, and I'm just going to make loads of rune chants and hit him for 20. I think there's days. It's not over. If you've got a meta that does have a lot of very controlling, very slow,
could do more rune chant generation, right?
Yeah, don't just copy what this is. You got to sort of have a good idea. Do you think there's going to be some really controlling Oldham players out there? If you do, get some rune chant generation down here. They're not going to put in that much pressure into you. Make a load of rune chants. But the Oldham here went, nah, I'm coming in.
Smash base, right?
Yeah, he's coming in flexing. So that plan is awful. It will not work. Lead the charges. Prism. I would slot in the 3 if I'm going up into Prism. I don't want to be caught out by this stupid little
ALS.
Yeah. And I always tend to just throw down like 3 yellows and 2 lead the charges predominantly. But then I just cut. But there was a couple of games where I wanted to put in 1 more attack action card, so I went down to 4. You could. But so the number I always work around is don't push it more than 32 attack action cards and 28 non-attack action cards. That's the furthest you could go. Try and push it between 30 attack action cards to 32 attack action cards. That's your wiggle room. Yeah. And pick the ones that want to make that work. You don't have to have 32 or 31. You could just go 30-30.
Do you always run 60 cards exactly?
Always.
Okay. And with a deck that needs consistency, that's the key, right? You don't want to water down the deck with stuff you don't need.
No, exactly. So yeah, that is it's my deck. So if anyone wants to know exact matchups, I'm going to be going down a lot more of a tighter, like what I would exactly take against these exact matchups. In particular, I'm doing that for the Patreons. But overall, this is generally the deck. And I think that there's enough information here for you to sort of go, okay, what are these cards doing? A lot of them is just reading what the opponent wants to do and what these cards are what the sideboard cards are going to do to kind of affect and hamper that. There's a lot, but just remember your core one is the way you're going to actually win it because of Revel and Mordred Tide and all this absolute insanity turns. But the sideboard is just how do you want to go about it? Again, a couple of tweaks, a couple of changes that I would have made going forward. Read the runes being incantations potentially. Runic Reclamation might be dropped back 1. Have a play around with it. Honestly, this deck is like loads of fun, super flexible. You feel like it's easy mode sometimes. Sometimes you feel like you're some sort of creative god when you're going, oh yeah, I knew what I was doing, because you're just pulling cards left, right, and center. It's got so much room behind it. So go enjoy it and have fun.
Now, Hamish, just before we finish up,
all right,
you wrote an article last week, and yes, I know you had some help with it, but and big shout out to Jake and Jason for giving you some proofreading.
Some serious support.
But that was your knowledge. That was your when I read it, I felt like that was your outpouring of love for Runeblade as a class in the current meta. And that really shone through. How did it feel to go ahead and win your RTN after writing and having that article published in the same week?
It was really cool, man. Like I especially if anyone's reading it and they kind of enjoyed it to the extent of like they've got the feel of what this is going to do. You sort of, in a quick way, just explaining sort of how the power works. I think it's really it kind of felt really nice to just being able to sort of showcase the power of what this is. I was kind of really happy to sort of feel that I performed pretty well. Tournaments are very hard. I will say to anyone that you're going to see these guys winning, and and I have one of them, but I can't sort of sit here and go, oh yes, I was the best at the day, and you win it. But tournaments are so flippy, man. You're going to have some guy absolutely killing a Swiss round. He is clearly the monster of the event, and then some guy just ruins him. Just knocks off the top 8 because of just one game. It just takes one game to just completely lose it, and then that guy's deck is
luck on your side as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The Viserai, me against Tom Hull on Viserai, the mirror match, dude. I stole it. I stole it because I had to just pull it out of nowhere, and that's how sometimes these events go. So I would just want to just sort of state this, that everyone that's going to the event, just there is going to be some players, there's some decks out there that, and they probably didn't win. They probably just got they got into the top 8 on the top of Swiss, and then they just lose out on that. Like for my event, it like the 2 people that I thought were monsters throughout the entire game. I'm going to keep saying monster all the time. Monster. Well, it was Jamie Faulkner and Francesco. I was playing old him.
Both very good card players. Very good card players.
I looked at that and I was like, I think these are the heroes that are. I believe Jamie with Dromai was just. I thought that was insane. The Oldhim by Francesco's approach was. I think it caught a lot of people out. Is that the way to take Oldhim? I don't know, but I think if Oldhim is going to decide to go aggressive, don't. Just be Viserai and go aggressive back into him. He can't handle that. And Aaron Boyan, who's on. I'm probably going to say. Yeah, I'll probably pronounce your surname wrong, dude. On Briar. That Briar is still really good. Just don't want to. I don't want to throw this. Yeah, Briar is still crazy good. But
Runeblade as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But if Dromai is going to be this meta, I honestly just turn around and go, I think Viserai is going to be the correct pick into the certain matchups.
That's fair.
Cool.
Okay.
It's a bit long.
No. So just to say thank you very much for watching. I hope you have got what you needed from this. And Hamish, thank you very much for pouring out your deck and telling everyone how to play it and what to play. As we've already mentioned, our Patreons, thank you, but you will get the sideboard planning from Hamish as a Patreon perk. And if you're interested, check out our Patreon, subscribe on YouTube, come and say hello, ask us questions. We've been having a great time in our Patreon's Discord lately, so it's the place to be.
Yeah, man. And if anyone wants to chat to me on Twitter or anything about some finer stuff, I can give you some lowdown, but at the same time, I'll be giving the patrons a real one-to-one. Yeah, cool.
Thanks very much, guys, and we'll see you next time.
See you in a bit.
Bye.